For 13 years, an enslaved people fought a war the world said was impossible. Not against one army, but against three of the most powerful empires on earth: France, Spain, and Britain. They had no navy and no nation. What they had was one unbreakable idea: they would never be slaves again. It began on a stormy August night in 1791. Deep in the forest of Bois Caiman, the enslaved gathered in secret and swore a sacred oath: freedom or death. Days later, the North erupted in flames. Plantations burned. The richest colony on earth was on fire. Outnumbered and untrained, the rebels still seized a third of the island within a single year. The great powers smelled opportunity. Spain invaded from the east. Britain landed from the sea. Now, the formerly enslaved were not fighting one empire. They were fighting three at once. Out of the chaos rose a brilliant commander, Toussaint Louverture. When France abolished slavery in 1794, he turned his army to fight for France and against everyone else. He was unstoppable. Britain poured in thousands of soldiers and watched them die, cut down by Toussaint's tactics and destroyed by tropical disease. In 1798, the mighty British Empire gave up and withdrew in defeat. By 1801, Toussaint ruled the entire island. He wrote a constitution, rebuilt the economy, and forged ragged rebels into a disciplined army. A man born enslaved now governed one of the most valuable territories on earth. And across the ocean, one man could not accept it: Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon sent the largest overseas expedition France had ever launched. Tens of thousands of elite troops with secret orders to crush the revolution and bring back slavery. At the fortress of Crete-a-Pierrot, a few hundred Haitian defenders held off an army many times their size for 3 brutal weeks, killing thousands. When their food ran out, they did not surrender. They fought their way out through the enemy lines. Then came the betrayal. Toussaint was lured to a meeting under a flag of peace and arrested. He was shipped to a freezing prison in the mountains of France, where he died, far from the land he had freed. But killing the leader did not kill the revolution. It set on fire. France restored slavery on other islands, and the people understood. Surrender meant chains. Black and mixed race fighters united under a new and merciless leader, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and nature turned on the invaders. Yellow fever killed tens of thousands of French, including Napoleon's own commander. The Haitians knew the land. They struck from the mountains, ambushed the columns, and vanished. The most powerful army in the world was rotting in the heat, being destroyed by a revolution of the formerly enslaved. It all came down to one final battle at Vertieres. Leading the charge was a commander remembered forever as Capois-la-Mort. He rode into a storm of gunfire. His horse was shot from under him. He rose, raised his sword, and ran forward, shouting one word: forward. The French were so stunned by his courage they reportedly stopped firing to salute him. Then the Haitians overwhelmed them. The French surrendered and sailed away in defeat. 3 empires had tried. 3 empires had failed. Victory came at a staggering cost. Around 200,000 Haitians died. But on January 1st, 1804, it was over. In place of the colony stood Haiti, the first free black republic in the world, and the first nation on earth to abolish slavery forever. 13 years, 3 empires, 1 free nation. The world tried to bury. We told you how Haiti defeated 3 empires in 13 years. Now see it up close. The ceremony that lit the fire, the siege that defied an army, and the charge that became legend. August 1791. In a hidden forest clearing called Bois Caiman, an enslaved priest named Duty Boukman gathered the desperate and the brave and called them to rise against their masters. Beside him stood a priestess, Cécile Fatimon. In a voodoo ceremony lit by fire and lightning, an oath was sealed in blood: freedom or death. There was no turning back. Days later, the signal spread. In a single night, the enslaved rose across the northern plains. Over 1,000 plantations burned. The richest colony on earth became a sea of fire. From the chaos rose a former coachman who taught himself to read, to heal, and to lead. Toussaint Louverture. He forged untrained men into a disciplined army that struck like lightning. He first fought alongside Spain against the French. But when France abolished slavery in 1794, Toussaint switched sides and turned on his old allies. One by one, the Spanish were driven out. Then came the British, hungry for the colony's riches. For 5 years they fought. Toussaint bled them in the mountains, and disease finished the rest. In 1798, the British Empire withdrew. By 1801, Toussaint ruled the entire island. He rebuilt the economy and wrote a constitution. But his triumph made him the target of the most powerful man in Europe. Napoleon sent the largest fleet France had ever launched overseas. Tens of thousands of veteran troops crossed the Atlantic with one secret order: crush the revolution and bring back slavery. At a hilltop fort called Crete-a-Pierrot, Dessalines and a few hundred defenders faced thousands. He held a torch over the gunpowder and roared, "We will blow ourselves to pieces before we surrender." For 3 weeks they held. They killed thousands of French. And when their food and water ran out, they cut their way through the enemy lines in the dark and vanished into the mountains. Unable to beat him in battle, the French used treachery. Toussaint was invited to peace talks, then seized in chains. He warned them, "You have cut down the trunk, but the roots run deep." Toussaint died in a frozen French cell, and France unleashed a butcher, General Rochambeau, who drowned and hunted his prisoners. But the cruelty backfired. It became win or die. Now black and mixed-race fighters buried their feuds and united under one merciless leader, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and one battle cry that would never die: liberty or death. It ended at Vertieres. Capois-la-Mort charged the French guns. His horse was shot dead beneath him. He rose, lifted his sword, and ran on shouting one word: forward. The French stopped firing to salute him. Then the line broke, and the French surrendered. Dessalines tore the white from the French flag, and a seamstress, Catherine Flawn, sewed the blue and red together. On January 1st, 1804, Haiti was born. Story. But the spirit of a people who refused to kneel could never be erased.